Hi, this is Roger Schlueter. Today's video is really about going out and trying to drum up some business, going out and beating the bushes, going out and just trying to take the bull by the horns and create some new business for your business. It's one of the hardest things to do there is. How do you get new business? If people walk in your door or just call you on the phone, congratulations, because you're 1 in a million. You are literally 1 in a million, I'm telling you. Because most people, you have sometimes a hard time getting sales. Hopefully not, but sometimes you have to actively go out and talk to people, actively go out and knock on doors, actively call them up, do whatever you can do to keep, to be the rainmaker, to create the rain, to grow the crops. So anyway, when I was in banking, I just used two methods. I would actually, two methods to cold call for new business. The first one is that I would go ahead and call companies up. The second one is I would actually go out to companies and knock on the door, and that I think is the toughest one because you don't know what's going to happen. You kind of think you're going to get thrown out. You get scared. You don't want to walk up to that door. Oh man, I don't know. It can take some getting used to. But anyway, the number one way that I use to call to create business, to go ahead and try to solicit business from companies and individuals, would be I would call them up on the phone, and hopefully I'd have a name to ask. I'd have some name that I would get from the library. I would get from some list. Get something so a person to talk to that can help you sell your product at that company. So anyway, hopefully you knew a name, but many times I did not. Sometimes you're just calling up cold saying, "Hey, can I speak to the president or the owner?" And then sometimes if they're actually an operator, I sound a little sexist, but a lot of times they would be women, at least in the day. I don't know if there's guys answering the phone now. But anyway, and usually they're very nice, and a lot of times we're eager to help you find who you're looking for. So sometimes it worked out really well. Many times the operator would put you through to whoever you asked for. And then you get them on the line, or you get the dreaded voicemail. I've got another video on that. But anyway, sometimes I'd ask the operator, "Hey, could I talk with the president? Oh man, I forgot his name. Can you help me out?" And then a lot of times they'd fill in his name. I don't know if they knew I didn't know it or not. But anyway, usually they would go ahead and try to help you out. Now, the whole idea in a cold call for prospects to get new business basically is to move to the next step. You're always wanting to move to the next step. In banking, the next step was usually a physical visit to the company or meeting the individual for a breakfast meeting or a lunch meeting. Those are, and then the next step to you might be to close the sale on the phone. I mean, there's people that call people just to close that sale, on that phone call, which to me would be dreadfully hard. But anyway, your next step is always to go ahead and go to that next step, but to eventually to close that sale. For me to get to the next step, a lot of times if I was talking to the person on the phone, I would just go ahead and offer them an article or a white paper on the topic of their business or to a relevant information to his profession. So anyway, I would offer that and say, "Hey, I got this thing. It's related to you or your business or presidents or whatever, and I could bring this out to you. If we could meet." So anyway, many times I would go ahead and guarantee them that I could save them money, save them time, save them both. But we'd have to meet for them to get that information. Sometimes that worked, sometimes it didn't. But anyway, if they said, "Send me something," you never send them something. I would just say, "We don't send out information. We prefer to meet you in person." So anyway, also found it helpful to go ahead and pick a day or a time. I would just say, how about Tuesday at 8 o'clock? And you'd be surprised the times that they would say, sometimes they blow you off, but other times they'd say, hey, let me check my calendar. And then they'd say, well, I can't Tuesday, but hey, how about Wednesday? And so, bingo, you got an appointment. So anyway, it can work very well. You just have to start talking. You do have to get over that initial kind of fright of talking to strangers. And, you can have a script, but I tell you, if you're going to use a script, make sure that you go over it and over it and over it, and you know it, so it's kind of like you're talking to somebody, because they can kind of tell when you're reading something. Remember one thing, I had a little trouble with this when I was younger. Remember that if a company agrees to move to the next step, it's a big buy signal. That means they're saying, hey, I might have a problem here. I may want to talk to him and see what he says. It is. If he says, if we were in banking, if I called up and I got a person to take a call, and sometimes I just didn't realize this. So I just thought, oh yeah, I got to lunch with him, and I didn't take it seriously enough. A lot of times you really need to take it more seriously, because that is a big buy signal. If he agrees to meet with you, I mean, seriously, do the research. Have things to offer him. Take advantage of that buy signal. Because it is, whenever they agree to anything you say, it's a major buy signal. All right, calling on the phone is great. You got that phone there. You could always hang up. You could always, I mean, he's not gonna cuss you out. Well, he might hang up on you. I mean, there's a lot of things they can do, but a lot of people will go ahead and talk to you. You might be surprised. The second method would be to go up and knock on the door. And that's one of the hardest there is, I swear. I really, those people that used to go door to door, I think I had a grandfather that used to go door to door and sell washing machines. And I think it was the Easy washing machine. But anyway, he sold a hell of a lot of them, and he was very good. But man, to go door to door like that would I don't know. I don't know if I could take it as my whole life. But anyway, if you're doing it just to get more business, it is a good way to do it. Anyway, you go out and you visit the company. I would usually go out in banking, everybody can use our business. So anybody can use our product. It's money. So come on. So anyway, I would usually go a lot of times where there's a lot of companies, an industrial park, or being a bank, I could sell to anybody. So I didn't have to be that selective. So anyway, you might have to, be a little more, get a list of the companies that buy what you sell or whatever. So anyway, the problem, unless you're very outgoing, walking up to a company, walking up to the front door, can be very hard. And actually, it can almost be kind of gut wrenching, where you don't want to do it. You'll start making up any excuse, Way back in the day, I used to smoke, and it would be, I'll have another cigarette before I go in, or I'll do this, or, sometimes if it's getting close to lunch, I'll eat lunch first and then do it after. So you want to, you just want to get out there and just do it. Kind of like the sneaker slogan, the Nike slogan. You really want to get out there and do it. So anyway, after doing it several times, you're never going to be perfect at it, but you're going to get better at it. I guarantee it. You're going to get to where going out there doesn't bother you half as much as it did before. To walk into a company and not knowing anyone and ask to speak to the president or owner, that can take some guts, some bravado, some chutzpah, or just plain desperation if you really have to have, in banking, if you don't have any loans, you either got to get some loans or you won't be there at that bank very long. So, sometimes it's just plain old desperation. You gotta find some loans. Now let's start out with the thing. You pull up in their parking lot, and a lot of times they have a space or two for visitors that are right by the front door. So anyway, you pull right up there. You figure everybody's looking at you. Who's this guy? You walk up to the door, and the first thing you're usually going to see is no soliciting. And the first thing you're going to think is, oh man, I can't call in this company because I got a no soliciting sign. This sign really doesn't apply to you. This sign applies to people who will turn around and walk away. um, I've seen this in almost every company I've ever called on, and you're there to help them save money. You're there to solve a problem, to do a job. That's what you're there for. You're not there to just sell them something. You're helping them. You're going to really help this company in one way or another. So anyway, I think I was only told to leave. I think it was like twice in my career. And I know one lady, they had their door, was unlocked, as a lot of them used to be. Now there's more companies now that lock the door and make you ring a doorbell, whatever. But anyway, I just walked in and started walking around, and this lady came up to me and she goes, "Who are you?" And I said, "Roger Schlitter." And she said, "What are you doing here?" And I go, "Oh, well, I wanted to talk to the president or whatever." She goes, "You mean you just walked in here?" And I said, "Well, yeah." And so anyway, she goes, "There is no soliciting and you get your butt out of here." And so I said, "Okay," and I left. And I think I had one other time when they just said, no, we're not talking to you, go away. 2 times in my whole career. That's not many, believe me. You'd be surprised the people that are so nice, and you'd be surprised some of the presidents of companies or owners will just say, "Hey, come on in, come on in. Let's, you want a cup of coffee, and let's see hear what you got." So anyway, it is good to come in there. It is better if you have a name. Even go to the library, look up the companies in advance and try to have a name, the president or the head guy that you want to talk to. It always helps when you have a name. But usually, I would always approach people, well, of course you'd approach the person. If there's a person behind the desk when you come in, you want to talk to that person. And then a lot of times you want to try to get information out of that person, especially if you don't have a card. But anyway, I would walk up to people in the parking lot. If someone was getting in a car, getting out of a car, whatever, I would always walk up to them and say, "Hey, you work here?" And you'd be surprised the people that will just say, "Well, yeah," or they'll tell you, "No, I'm just leaving." But sometimes they'll go, "Oh, yeah," and you can ask them stuff like, "Who's the president of the company?" They'll tell you. "Hey, I work at a bank, and we're just looking for loans. Is there anybody I can talk to in there?" You'd be surprised the times that they'll give you names. And sometimes they'll, if they're on their way out, I've ran into presidents of companies that were, usually if it's a really nice car, that's the higher up the person is when he's leaving. So anyway, a lot of times I've had them just get their card out and say, "Here you go, give me a call later." And he still may not answer the phone. You might get the dreaded voicemail, but you got his card, you got his name, you got his phone number, you got his email. I mean, come on, man. You're building a list of people to call in the future. So it is a pretty good way to go. So anyway, some of them will help you. And then if you get a name or something when you walk in, when you don't have a name, most of them will help you. So anyway, a lot of times if I approach somebody in the parking lot, and they speak with me and gave me their card or gave me a name or something, that'd be great. You would also ask, like I said before, the receptionist, and a lot of times, they're just the nicest people a lot of times. If there is nobody there, a lot of times they'll give you the name of the person you need to talk to. Sometimes if he's not in, they will get you a card out of his office. Sometimes they'll have cards of the main people at the company in the front, and they could give you a couple. So always ask for a card. I wouldn't leave unless I got a card. If she said no, he's not in, and I would always say, "Can I get a card?" And if they said no, I'd say, "Really, come on, can I get a business card from the guy? Whatever." They'd always give you one. Eventually they will. So anyway, usually if there's no receptionist there, I just start wandering around until somebody says, "Hey, who are you? What are you doing here?" So anyway, and then you can say, "Well, hey, I'm looking for the president or the owner or somebody to sell my wares to." Being a bank, that's a lot easier because you're giving loans, you're selling money. Come on, man. So anyway, if you if you talk to anybody, always remember to get a business card from that person. Always give them a business card. I usually gave them a couple. Um, but anyway, you really need those cards to kind of to build a base of business. Um, and, uh, and you'd be surprised how many cards you get from people. And you can do the same thing at networking events and things like that. But there is something about coming in and meeting a person at his home turf, at his business, and then also having that card and having that name, that email, that phone number to be able to call or contact them in the future. Because your company may have specials and may have things that come up that you need to tell people about, and those are always good to do that. Anyway, that's the two ways that I used in banking to try to create business. Was one, I would either call them up and try to talk to them, even if I didn't have a name. It always works better if you have a name. Or I would go out and just beat the bushes, just go out and start hustling and just go out and just walk in companies. It's always good if the company had a lot of cars in the parking lot. It means they got a lot of employees. That's always good. So anyway, but you never know. I mean, it might be a company just starting out or whatever. I'd talk to anybody. And I think you cannot tell. It's very hard to tell if someone, really can use your products or not. Because sometimes the people that look like they ain't got nothing are pretty well off. And sometimes the people with the flashy cars, are hocked up to their eyeballs and, can't afford what you can sell. So anyway, there is one movie, if anybody's ever watched The Wolf of Wall Street, and I remember one of my favorite parts is he's telling employees to deal with their many problems, dealing with their divorce, dealing with their money problems, dealing with all this stuff by picking up the phone and dialing. Get on the phone, get out there and visit some companies. So anyway, that was pretty good. If you ever do watch that, the motivational parts of Wolf of Wall Street, I really wish I would have seen that movie as a kid. I probably would have done better in selling, to tell you the truth. So anyway, like I said, get out there and visit some companies, get on the phone, call some companies up, subscribe if you want to hear more tips or more business content. And if you hit the bell notification, you'll get notified every time I do a new video. And go ahead and hit that like button if if you took away something on this video, something that you can use. So anyway, or if you decide after this video you're going to go out and call. Anyway, if you got some value out of this, I hope you'd hit the like button. And my name is Roger Schlueter, and I hope I see you in the next video.